The Rockets signing head coach Ime Udoka to a long-term extension, according to ESPN. Led the Rockets to their first 50-win season in 6 years this past season. He'll now be one of the highest-paid coaches in the league. Led Houston to a 2 seed in the West this season, but lost in the first round 7 games to the Warriors. Now, the Rockets have been linked to Kevin Durant, along with some other teams like the Heat, like the Spurs. So we're going to play a little Who Says No to some Kevin Durant trade scenarios. We have Brad Botkin and John Gonzalez with us, and we're going to start with the Houston Rockets. We've cooked up some potential trades.
Now, who did that? Was our producer came with the trades, or did you guys come up with the trades?
We're just going to say the CBS
Who's
Sports
playing GM?
Brain Trust.
Okay.
CBS Sports Brain Trust.
Because if it's dumb, I just need to know like who to go after.
So the trade involving the Rockets is you get Kevin Durant in Houston, and you give up Fred VanVleet, Jalen Green, and a future first-round pick. Who says no, fellas?
You want me to go?
Yeah, you go.
Okay, if this is me, now I like to play GM. If I'm playing this for real, I'm saying that the Rockets say no here. I'm sorry, the Suns say no. Because, hold on. I'm confused here.
You're debating this. I'll pick it up for you. I would say that
Did you confuse yourself?
Who's getting who?
I would say that the Suns would say no on this one because, for me, primarily, the Suns have no control of their draft moving forward for the next several years. Who controls a big chunk of their draft? The Houston Rockets. You saw future draft pick on that list. The Rockets control 2027 and 2029, plus this year's number 10 overall. I need more draft capital in this, just because the timelines don't really match up on this one. If I'm the Phoenix Suns, if I'm going to reboot this thing on the fly, give up Kevin Durant, I want some more of my draft back.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out. I don't know why it's confusing me so much, but the first round pick is going to be the key in all these. If you're getting players, are you going to get picks on top of it? Now that I'm looking at this, I would take this if I'm the Suns because there is a pick involved.
What if you're the Rockets?
That's the one that I would say no to. I would hold.
Okay.
That's where my confusion was. If I'm the Rockets, I don't do this trade because I don't think the Suns have any leverage, and this has been reported on. I don't think that you need to include future picks in this. If it gets down to it and it has to happen and you decide you really want Kevin Durant, then you can, but I would not be jumping the gun to throw picks at Phoenix. I don't think you need to.
I also, if I'm the Rockets, would say no to this, and it's less about the picks because they've got a whole bushel of draft picks moving forward, so they've got some capital to play with. But if I'm the Rockets, you have a really good team. You were the number 2 seed in the Western Conference, in a loaded Western Conference last year. I'm not ready to blow this thing up yet. We talked about this a little bit earlier. They have a team that finished second in the Western Conference without really one established superstar. They have some really good players, some really good stars. Alperen Şengün, Amin Thompson, I think, could potentially be a superstar in this league. You saw Jalen Green there. He's a little hit or miss, but I'm a big Tari Eason guy. Cam Whitmore. You go down the roster, they've got a whole bunch of players. They did last year. They were way ahead of schedule. I want to see another at least half a season from this Houston Rockets team up to the next trade deadline before I make any major moves. And again, these are all young players. Kevin Durant, fantastic player, Hall of Fame player, NBA champion, but 37 years old. Does he fit on the same timeline? Pump the brakes a little bit if you're the Houston Rockets.
Okay, so that's the Rockets. Let's go to another Texas team that's being talked about with Kevin Durant. The Spurs here, the only team with 2 lottery picks. Here's the suggested trade. The Suns receive Harrison Barnes, Devin Vassell, a 2025 number 2 overall pick, and the Spurs, of course, receive Kevin Durant. It would be very interesting to see KD teamed up with Wemby. Bring some veteran presence. You're shaking your head.
This is the one that I want to get done. I say no to this if I'm the Spurs. Number 2 overall this year it's a bridge way too far. That they lucked into that thing and they've got to take advantage of that. But I'd be maybe countering, and John and I talked about this, with maybe a future first, something that's not number 2 overall, if you're going to give up a draft pick to get it. Because I do think the Spurs are the team that I personally think Kevin Durant would have the biggest impact on.
But impact now, as opposed to, are you looking more into the future?
Right now, they have De'Aaron Fox, they have Victor Wembanyama, obviously. If they throw Kevin Durant in there, even in a crowded Western Conference, they're ready to win right now. And I would forge ahead. I'm not somebody who always thinks it's best to wait. I think sometimes the best time in your timeline can be the early years. It doesn't always work out the way that you think because you have Wembanyama. Let's just wait 4 years. You can get Kevin Durant right now. This might be the best teammate that Victor Wembanyama would ever have. So I would be making plays for him, but I think that the number 2 overall is too much.
Okay, so you're kind of contradicting yourself here. Yes, you are, because you're saying, yes, I like this. I want Kevin Durant would make them a contender right now, but I would pass up on it to take the number 2 overall pick.
I would, because I think that's a bridge too far. It's not a guarantee you're going to win with Kevin Durant, but I would be aggressive. I don't think I would include picks if I were some teams at all.
Okay.
But if I was San Antonio, I would counter back and say, let's talk about a future pick, just not number 2 overall.
Okay, adjust it.
John, that second overall pick is likely going to be Dylan Harper. Most likely, he's the favorite to go number 2 overall. What do you think? Who says no?
Yeah, I think that right now, in the real world, not just me and Brad and the 4 of us in the studio talking about this, the Spurs have already said that they don't want to give up number 2 overall and they don't want to give up Stephon Castle. Well, in that scenario, if I'm the Suns, I'm saying no. I have to get either Stephon Castle or the number 2 overall pick, and I would be willing to do that if I were the Spurs because I do think Kevin Durant raises the ceiling for them that much. Look, the West is loaded. It's a really deep field, but just to be in the mix, if you get Kevin Durant, and of course you have to figure out what's going on with Victor Wembanyama and that blood clot issue, but pairing those 2 together, that defense would be outrageous. You already have De'Aaron Fox. Do you need Stephon Castle and Dylan Harper? I don't think so. I'd have to pry away at least one of those assets if I'm the Suns. And if I'm the Spurs, I would for sure think about that.
Okay, those are 2 teams that are on the way up. How about a team that's just kind of trying to stay afloat, the Miami Heat? They just traded an aging star this past season in Jimmy Butler. This is the proposed trade for the Heat to get Kevin Durant. Suns get Andrew Wiggins, Duncan Robinson, Khalil Ware, and a future first-round pick. John, who says no?
Yeah, this is a no for me if I'm the Suns. Andrew Wiggins, he's a professional basketball player. He's a solid rotation player. Duncan Robinson, lights-out shooter, but neither of those guys really raise the bar. I like Khalil Ware. He's a really good player, but a future first-round pick, where's that going to fall? What does the future hold for the Miami Heat? How high would that pick be? If I'm the Suns, I would be looking at a Tyler Hero or a Bam Adebayo, but the Heat are never going to part with those guys. So this is a no both ways. I just don't see how either of these sides get it done. If I'm Kevin Durant, would I like to move to Miami? Yes, I would. It's a great place. We're here right now in Southern Florida. It's fantastic, but I just don't see how they have the assets to get this move done. And Khalil Ware and Andrew Wiggins and Duncan Robinson, you're not even close.
Yeah. I totally agree with this. This is a no for. I don't know why the Heat always have to come up in every trade discussion.
He wants to go there.
I guess it's that we do live in Florida. It is a good place to live. But from a basketball perspective, I don't understand did they not watch what the Chicago Bulls did for all these years and they just run on the treadmill of mediocrity? And why would Kevin Durant, from a basketball standpoint, want to come to the Heat and play with Hero and Bam? Like, the Pacers screwed this up for everyone in that everyone now thinks they can go to the finals. You know, they don't have to be that great of a team or what everybody thinks is a great team. The Miami Heat, you add Kevin Durant, this is still like maybe a top 6 seed, maybe. This is not a threat at all to win an NBA championship. So I would say no to both these. I would not. If I'm Miami, why would I give up a future first and Khalil Ware, who's a building block player for you, to stay on the treadmill of mediocrity? And if I'm the Suns, I don't want anything, just like John said, I don't want anything to do with Wiggins and Duncan Robinson, and that's not making me anything. So I don't understand why the Heat are always a trade partner. This is a no for both. I don't see how this works on either side.
We called the segment Who Says No. Apparently everybody on just about everything involving Kevin Durant right now.